Tahki Yarns presents Ringo, a new knitting yarn for the Fall 2012 collection. Ringo is a series of linked loops in a thick and thin yarn chain. You can knit with Ringo like a traditional knitting yarn, wrapping the entire length of the chain around the needle tip, as shown here. This is the technique of knitting you'll use for the Harris cowl, a free pattern coming out this fall. This video will demonstrate several techniques used to knit Ringo, including those called for in the Bronte mesh vest and the Du Maurier mesh shrug. Casting on with Ringo is easy. Just insert your needle tip from back to front, choosing either a thick or a thin link in the chain of yarn. When knitting with Ringo, it's easiest to carry your yarn in the left hand and wrap your tension around your left index finger. The first special stitch we'll demonstrate is called K2 Tog L, which means to knit two together and pull out a long strand of the yarn, as demonstrated. You will see this instruction for row 3 of the Bronte mesh vest. As you knit, you will pull about a 1.5 inch strand of the thick section of the yarn through your loop and off the needle. Another point about K2 Tog L is to be sure you're knitting with the thin link in the chain. Also, you'll need to grab 2 parts of the link when knitting for increased stability in your final garment. When counting stitches, remember that each stitch is comprised of 2 halves of the same stitch. The next instruction, K1L, is similar to what you did earlier with K2 Tog L, except you're only knitting 1 stitch instead of 2 together. Also, with this stitch, be sure that you're knitting 2 links of the thinnest part of the yarn chain. Here you can see the completed long stitches in the Du Maurier mesh shrug. You can see the top and bottom of my stitches with the long pieces pulled through in between. They're about 1.5 inches in length. K1T means to knit with 2 links of the thinnest part of the yarn chain, but not pulling it through as you did with K1L. As with the other stitches, be sure that you're reaching for the thinnest links in the yarn chain and grabbing 2 parts of that link to form 1 complete stitch. Many of the techniques demonstrated in this video are used in patterns coming out this fall, including the Bronte mesh vest and the simple knit Harris cowl, and another pattern using the long pull technique called the Du Maurier mesh shrug. Keep your eye out for these and other patterns using Ringo.